Now let's take a look at some of the other pieces that we can add as kind of a finishing touch to the bike. All right, so I'm going to kind of take you around the bike and some of the pieces that I've added, and you feel free to add whatever you like. Obviously, due to time constraints, we can't get in and create all of the detail that we can see on the bike, but we can look at some of the pieces that you can add, and you can pick and choose, and there's a lot of reference out there to take a look at. So you can see I've modified the brake caliper and just connected those up to the fork right there. I've also added a lot of bolts, and you can see these in purple right here in all of these little areas where we have the bolts, and you can choose to add those bolts if you want and go ahead and just mirror those over to the other side. Also, I've added kind of the axle to the front, and then we need to go ahead and add that, copy that over to the back. I've also added a few pegs. Okay, so we've got the pegs in a particular location, shifter, things like that. We've got some geometry coming down from the back end connecting up to the exhaust. Okay, so that's something else you might want to think about adding. There's also this sort of a tank inside the frame. Okay, this particular bike, this is sort of a false cover on this gas tank, and so we also have this tank down inside there, which I've added. Also the caps on top of the forks. All right, so just some of these little pieces that you can go ahead and add if you want to do that. Also, you can see I've got the pegs on this side and also a kickstand. Very simple, just thrown in there. So you could spend another couple of days just adding detail to this bike. You could really detail out the engine. We've got some of the basic shapes of the engine in there, but there's a lot of other pieces that go into making something that's really detailed. So again, due to time constraints, we weren't able to get all of that in there. But honestly, any of those pieces that you add, you'll be able to use any of the techniques that we learned. It'll just be kind of more of the same. And I know that you're probably getting a little bit tired of some of the connecting and some of the modeling techniques that we used, but realistically, whenever you model something, you're going to be using some of the same techniques over and over. So it's good to get some practice. And we looked at a few different ways of doing that, but in the end, you're going to be doing a lot of adding edges, a lot of moving points around, a lot of shoring up edges when you're working with things that are going to be smoothed. So there is a lot of repetitive work, but it pays off in the end when you get something that looks nice. So I've got this model here. You can go ahead and add any of these pieces that you want to add. Okay, and then we'll have this project file available to you as I believe it says 49 or 50. In the next lesson, though, we'll take this and start to work up a hierarchy. So we'll look at naming everything, and we'll look at setting up a hierarchy so that we can rotate things in unison. So we know we want the wheel to be together, and we know we want the forks to rotate together. So we'll go ahead and do that next.